Hey copper nerds, let's talk about how this 1793 reverse die with a beaded border ended up right there on this 1794 S63. Let's get into it. I've long time been a fan of the Sheldon 63. I finally got a really nice one, and there's a video out there on that if you want to check out mine. What I like about it is it's a very interesting head of 94 from a diagnostic standpoint. It's called the Fallen 4, and you can see the 4 is fallen there. The 9's a little high too. There's this weird engraving spike right there. The Liberty lettering like touches the denticles. And then the reverse is a little interesting as well. You know, the ribbon tail touches the fraction bar. Some of the letter punches are a little bit different than what we're used to seeing in 1794s. I mean, look at that T there compared to the T used there. Just look at the T's and states. T's and states. This one's just out of place, right? It doesn't fit in. Nothing about this coin fits in. And, but I didn't know what was throwing me off until I actually went to buy a S63. And the one that I got was from the Jim Neiswinter collection. And when I was reading the Neiswinter catalog, he had 1793s and 1794 heads of 93s, but he didn't have any regular 94s, except for this one. And I couldn't figure it out until I started reading the descriptions in the auction catalog. And that's when it came to my attention that this is the same reverse die that had been used back on the, I want to say 12, 13, 14, 16, and NC4. Let's see if my brain's remembering those correctly. Not exactly. 13, 14, 16, and NC4. But same reverse die, but beaded border is replaced with dentils. So that's a really interesting situation. And it also of note is it's not like this is one of the early 1794s. It's way towards the end. It's like right before they were transitioning to the head of 95, which they did on the Sheldon 67. So by 63, they're reusing a die from the previous year when they're almost through the end of 1794 in terms of production. Interesting situation. And you'll also note that, you know, this is reverse FF, which only appears on the 63. There's no tie-in to the previous use of that same die. Again, just reworked to add dentils. And some of the lettering was changed slightly. So, yeah, again, this just says it's reverse L for 1793, which was those varieties. But there's no mention that they're connected. I want to take a look at some other resources and see if that connection is made. So let's jump into some other books. Let's start with the noise book. We use this one quite often. Move over a little sticker. What did we say that started with? Sheldon 13? I think so. Sheldon 13. All right. Well, reverse. L. 13, 16, 14, NC6. I think we have another weird deployment sequence where actually Sheldon 16 came before Sheldon 13. Sheldon had quite a few varieties that he missed the sequence that they were actually deployed in with his numbering. You'll see that with reverse X as well, the Sheldon 49 through 54. 51 came first, then 49, then 50, then 52. So Sheldon missed out a few times. And in Chuck Heck's book, which is his 1794 die states book, he talks about how important it is to evaluate die progression when determining emission sequence, and Sheldon missed the mark on that several times, apparently. Right, so there is no reference here. Let me just make sure there's nothing noted. Note. There we go. Here it is. Okay. That was off the screen, sorry. Check out the end of the reverse paragraph. This reverse is almost always evenly struck. Note, current research seems to show that this die was later heavily reworked and used in producing the 1794 S63 as die FF. Seems to show. There's no doubt about it. These details could not be recreated as precisely as they were for the 63 versus the 1793 caps. So let's jump up to 63 and see what the comments are there. I just think it's really neat, and I wish we knew more about how it came to be that some die that had been sitting around for almost a year got pulled out and reworked. I mean, the diagnostics are going to be identical between this and, there we go. This appears to be the same. I mean, appears to be. It is. There's no possible explanation for the identical details, along with, I'll bet if we look back, we're going to see that these leaves are much stronger on the old one. See, that leaf is really faint because that die has been lapped so much. Let's go take a look at some of those 1793s again. We said we started with 13. Yeah, I mean, they're not super bold leaves, but they're definitely stronger there. Let's see if they get, of course, our sequence was, so 13 was second. 16 was technically first. When we get to 16, let's see if they're even more bold than that. 14 should be, again, a little weaker. Comparable. 16 should be a little bolder because that was first. Those are NCs. Here's 16. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely there. They don't get really weak on the 1793 caps, it doesn't look like. Although, what, NC4? NC6? NC6 was lowest. I've been saying that wrong this whole video. Please forgive me. NC3, NC6. The NCs are often in lower grade. This one's actually not terrible. Yeah, it's weakening there. I can see that it's weakening a little bit there. And then by the time we get back here, after that die was reworked, there's not a lot of top leaf left. Where's this other ghost leaf lowest on, right? What is he talking about? The ghost leaf. The bottom leaf on the lowest pair on the right is so faint, it's been called a ghost leaf. That's what they're calling that, is the ghost leaf? Or is there one even lower? Oh, there is one. Just under that. So let's see if there's two leaves. If we go back to, what did we decide? 16 was our first use. Let's jump back to 16. If I put some bookmarks in here, the video would be a lot shorter. 16. Yeah, okay. See that? It's a light leaf there. And then with the lapping, that becomes a ghost leaf on the S63. Again, this appears to be stuff is, why be so soft on that when you can just boldly state it's the same die? It absolutely is. Let's take a look at, oh, this is kind of fun too. Let's look at our progression of that reverse die. So the leaves at top are kind of ghost-like, and the one down at the bottom right, the lower of the two that you can barely see at the foot of the A. And as we go through the die states, the top keeps getting weaker. Look how weak all the leaves are at the top there. See that? See, we look at the left leaves, upper left, above the O and 1, those 3 or 4. Watch them get weaker and weaker. And then the bow gets weaker and weaker. I want to say mine is a very early die state. Mine also has crazy planchet issues, which obscure some of the reverse details. I collect planchet errors. That's one of the reasons I got the Wells, Husak, and Neiswinter example that I did, because I liked the, I liked how pristine and perfect the obverse was. And then I really liked the planchet issues on the reverse, because I do collect planchet flaws. But yeah, that's a wild, just the lapping, again, takes off. We've talked about this before, but the die lapping to repair the surface of the die takes off some of those engraved details. The more you lap or sand down or polish down the die surface, you're gonna lose the shallower details, and we're seeing that here. That is crazy. Heavily lapped weakening of 1 cent. Yeah, and everything there and there. Well, just for fun, let's jump into Chuck Heck's book as well, just to look at the 63 and see how the end of that, see the die states and see how the end of that die's life turned out. Of course, I need to check the index, 122. All right, Sheldon 63. I knew Chuck would have it. Reverse, 91 Dentils, same as the S13, 14, 16, NC6. And then the 1794 S63, small letter reverse. That's what that, so that T that I pick out just visually must be one of the small letter die punches. Oh, holy crap. You know, my coin might be more important than I realized. I didn't realize that Neiswinner made this discovery. Look at this. I mean, honestly, this paragraph that I haven't even read yet, just at a glance, I think that makes my coin, which is Neiswinner's coin, a little more significant. In July 91, Neiswinner wrote an article comparing the 1793 reverse L to reverse double F for the Sheldon 63 and maintained that the dies were actually the same die, and they obviously are. Simply reworked by placing 91 dental punches over the 91 dot punches of the 1793. 91 dentils. Let's see what's more normal. Oh, 90, 92. I was expecting to find something way different. 84. Oh, there's quite an array of how many dentils ended up on the reverse on these dies. Probably obverse too. All right, I'm gonna reshoot this portion because I got a little too animated about this next sentence, and I want to make sure and articulate my concern and my point correctly. But this next section is wild. So when Neiswinner presented his findings regarding what's very clearly the redeployment and reworking of this die, his theory was logical to many and heretical to others. That's wild, right? Like, why would anyone take a look at his objective research and say, no, that's crazy? Just on principle, they're saying there's nothing new in copper under the sun? I mean, yeah, this was 2000 and before 06, I guess. Well, 91, from 91 to 06. There was apparently a segment of EAC for that significant period of time of 15 years who were saying, no, Jim's wrong. Those are not the same die. That's wild. I can't, for the good of the hobby, I think it's important that EAC members, be a little bit flexible and a little bit open to change, particularly when it's something that's very well documented, such as the reuse of this die. And where I got on that tangent that's making me re-record this is that I've seen some, not many, most of our senior EAC folks are incredible. So many mentors that I've picked up among the senior ranks of EAC, but there's some who shun, I guess, and shut down and are negative and abrasive towards new members who are either asking questions or who are raising things that are, either well settled or are, not considered acceptable practices. Sometimes I see this in the conservation and restoration world, which I understand can be controversial. We don't want to encourage anyone to damage coins, but some people seem to be of a position that the secrets of the EAC senior membership when it comes to conservation and things like that are best left just to them without anyone new knowing these things, or they should have to go, if you're new, you should have to go dig endlessly and do your own research to find answers, rather than just sharing information for whatever reason. But I guess the closed-mindedness of what Jim had to deal with regarding his discovery, which should have been very exciting to everyone, and really nobody could sincerely look at his research and reach a different conclusion. What we're talking about is people who wanted to remain ignorant on the issue and not look at Jim's research, but still shun it, and that's wild. So I hope that moving forward, that type of behavior towards new discoveries in copper does not persist, and I don't think that it will. Again, I've had some fantastic mentorship from most senior EAC folks, and the couple of little run-ins that I've had, I don't take them personally, but I wish that they wouldn't have happened. I do think it's important that the senior EAC folks are embracing the new people, and if they ask a question that's dumb, you know, kindly explain to them why that's maybe not the best way to handle X, Y, or Z. But I think we do need to use kid gloves to some degree with those of us, including myself, who are new and wanting to learn. Don't just shut people down. Make sure you explain why they may be wrong, or why what they're proposing is not feasible, or why there's other considerations that they should be aware of. Don't just shut people down. And definitely when we're talking about new discoveries, let's be objective and look at them. Don't just spend 15 years with this kind of stuff being in limbo. There's no need for it. There's no need to create controversy within this small collecting community. So with that, let's get back into my video. Okay, then at EAC 06, John Lusk used NumaStudy computer program to overlay, superimpose photos on top of each other. Neiswinner was proven to be correct. Proven. I mean, that's proof positive. Okay. Let's jump through some die states. That spur is so cool. Again, the Drunken Die Cutters obverse is what this is also called. Let's see. Yeah, Clapp called it the Drunken Die Cutters obverse because it's just such a mess. Again, those letters are touching the dentils. That mess, that little issue there. There's a little bump on the outside of the cap. Just all kinds of problems. They might have been drunk, honestly. It could have been the end of the day. Reverse, no cracks, cuts, or clash marks. Upper leaf in the lowest left pair is a pointed fragment, as the lower leaf in the lowest right pair is ghost-like, as Sheldon called it. Yeah, it's from that lapping from the die used the previous year. Let's see. Again, not focusing on the obverse as much, which picks up some cool clash marks on the face. How is that even possible? How can you get clash marks on the face, which would have been a sunken portion on the face of the die? All right, I gotta read this. Sorry. Both dies when resurfaced removed from the prior mentioned imperfections. They have clashed. The resurfacing must have been deep enough to raise certain features on the die's surface, thus causing clash marks. Huh. I don't get it. I might have to ask Chuck about that next time I talk to him. Gosh, sorry about all these edits. I understand this clash now. So I would have assumed that on the reverse die, they would have, you know, sanded flat all the devices at the same time, the whole surface of the die, which usually, if anything, would flatten out some devices. But what we have here is they probably missed a portion of the reverse when they were lapping that reverse, and as such, that portion remained higher than the surrounding fields and devices, and that was significantly higher, so much so that it struck all the way up into the die where it's recessed for Liberty's head. And then that is what is clashed that we're seeing there on the obverse die. That is really hard to wrap your head around, but very, very interesting. So wanted to add that commentary in. Reverse has some clash marks in here. Some flow lines and spurs. I wanted to see, oh gosh, is that it? Oh no. All right, Chuck, I'm gonna hit you up on this one because I think we need to talk more about the disappearing leaves, right? Let's make sure I didn't miss it. We talk about the ghost-like leaf pair, right? We do. But that was there from the beginning, and it's always like that right there. And that's a good picture, so you can kind of see You see the little remnant of the leaf, but I don't find that quite as impressive as what we saw in Noise. And I mean, just gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. That is the next page number, and we're on to the starred reverse. What we saw in Noise is pretty dramatic for the 63. I mean, it really is. Those upper left disappearing leaves, by the time we get down there, there is hardly anything left. And the upper right kind of ghost leaves are, I mean, gone. And then again, we have the ribbon bow gets very weak. What other details are going away? Let's look at some of the lower left. Yeah, the upper of the two leaves there gets very weak, whereas it's definitely still there. Not super prominent, but it's still there, and then gets weaker. He does note that one scent gets weaker, but everything gets weaker. Again, mostly those upper left leaves, that's what jumps out at me the most. I just thought I would do a little research with you guys so I could learn a little bit more and take you along for the journey. I thought that was fun. Let's talk about it a little more in the comments. Hit me up down there. You know, I'll insert a couple pictures of my 63 and a little info right now. Here you can see what the Nice Winter Sale catalog had to say about Jim's discovery. And maybe mine's not the discovery coin, but it is the coin he included in his collection because of his discovery. And with that, again, thanks for checking this one out, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.